3, 2, 1. What's going on, folks? Welcome to 34 Questions. Tonight, I have a very special guest. Simone is in the building. How you doing, Simone?
I'm doing well.
For sure. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for your time. Definitely appreciate your openness to share your story. So for the folks out there who are unfamiliar with the flow of the show, we do some intro questions, some warm-up questions just to set the tone. Threw in a couple icebreakers just to have a little bit of fun, at least on my end. I can't speak for my guests. But after that, we jump into the main portion of the interview where you choose a number between 1 and 34. Sound good to you, Simone?
Yep, sounds good.
Alrighty then. My very first question for you is, how have you been? It's been a crazy year. You've been doing well. You've been going through it. How you been?
I've actually been doing really well through this pandemic. Spending a lot of time by myself. It's been great. Yeah, all in all, doing pretty well.
For sure. I'm glad to hear. All right, well, we reached a portion of the icebreakers. This first one is a one-word spelling bee. Would you like to participate? Feel free to pass as well. But you down?
Yeah, sure. Spelling bee? Okay.
It's a spelling bee, yeah. Just one word.
Okay.
Your word is pneumonia. I've had a bad case of pneumonia, you know?
Pneumonia. I know there's a P in it, right?
Yeah. You got 2 chances, so don't worry too much.
Oh my gosh. I feel like I should know how to spell this. P-N. I don't think it's an A next. I don't know. Pneumonia. Nah. Isn't it like E-U-N-I-A or something like that? Is that correct? No, that's wrong.
You were pretty close. You got the first 4 letters right. I'll tell you that. So
P-N-E-U-N. Oh wait. M-O-M. No. Pneumonia. P-N-E-U-M-N-I-A. Mia? Pneumonia? I don't know.
I'm sorry. You missed the O. You missed the O right in the middle. So you had the first 5 O-N-A-I. Yeah. But thank you for participating for that first one. The second one is a riddle. Are you good at riddles?
I'm not good at spelling, so I don't think so for riddles.
All right.
I thought I could spell, but apparently not. So.
Well, we'll give this one a shot.
Okay.
Again, no pressure. And this is: can you name 3 consecutive days without using the words Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday? So 3 consecutive days without using the days of the week. Nope.
You could say like 3, the first, second, and third. I don't know.
Now,
right?
So you had the right idea. But there are like a certain order. And so first, consecutive, third. If you're gonna think of it as like another word for days, you know. If I give you a hint, I'll give you a hint. One of the days is yesterday.
Oh, yesterday, tomorrow, and the next day after tomorrow. I don't know.
Now you're close.
Yesterday, the day before that, and then tomorrow. No?
Yesterday, today, and tomorrow.
Oh, today. Oh my gosh. Why did I not think of that?
It is all good. Now you could use it for your friends and, you know, wherever you may need a riddle. Wow,
that's interesting. I've never thought about that, but.
Right on.
I feel kind of dumb, but it's okay.
Don't feel bad. I would say more people get it wrong than they do get it right on the show. So no worries.
Makes me feel better.
All right then. Well, got a few more warm-up questions for you. This next one is: what would you like the audience to know about you?
I never know what to say. I feel like I've been using this one a lot, but I guess I enjoy reading.
Okay, for sure.
Just because it's been a thing lately that I've been really getting into, but yeah, I guess I enjoy reading.
What's something you've been reading lately that's really kind of like that you've gravitated towards?
Well, the current book I'm on right now is called Shadow and Bone. It's part of a trilogy, and the reason why I picked it up is because it just recently started a Netflix series. So I was like, oh, let me see how the book is, and then watch the series. But I ended up watching the series while reading the book. So it's kind of like, it's very different though. So yeah, that's the book I've been reading lately.
So are you more like, do you care about the spoilers that the book has versus the show, or are they just two very separate things and it doesn't even seem like they go together?
At first, because I like doing this thing where I read the book first and then watch the series, then see what's up, but then I just couldn't wait. And while I was reading the series, because you know how in books it's like at a certain point of view sometimes, so watching the series it's totally different, but they're still saying the same like certain aspects. Just in the TV show it's like more point of views that I see. But
oh yeah. I feel you. Would you say books are better than movies as far as like, you know, the adaptation?
Yes, just because in books you get really invested more, and there it's more I guess detail oriented, and you get really attached to the characters and you develop while they're developing, you're kind of liking their development too, as opposed to a movie, you know, it has to fit in an hour, so you can't really get all the details that the book, you know, presents. But, yeah.
Have you ever found a movie that was better than the book?
I would say no. Well, yeah, I would say no, because like if we talk about Harry Potter, I love Harry Potter, but I wouldn't say they're better than the books. I feel like people get mad if I say that, but like, I don't know. Like, I feel it's just like, cause I never read the books growing up. I always like loved the movies. And then later on, I started reading the books, but I don't know. They're just two different worlds, or they're the same world, but like two different, you know, vibes. No. Yeah. For sure.
The second question is, if someone were to pay you a tribute, how would you like to be honored? So if I was going to tell myself, today I'm going to do something in honor of Simone, what kind of act could I do, you know, in your honor?
That's interesting. Either write a letter and set it on like a stream of water.
Whoa.
Or like set it out into the ocean. Yeah. Or get one of these like floating lanterns that you like set on fire and just set it up in the air.
Have you been to one of those events where they
I haven't actually, but I did it myself for my grandma's birthday 2 years ago.
That's dope.
Today's actually her birthday, so it's kind of interesting.
Oh shoot.
Yeah.
Well, happy birthday to the grandma out there. Yeah, that's a trip. Yeah. I'm always concerned that, like, you know, well, you could explain to me if I do something like that and the candle's in the air, there's no really any risk of it, like, you know, setting things on fire.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about too, because like, you know, there's trees around and stuff. But I guess if you do like it in an open space, and the ones I got were like biodegradable, so it didn't really mess with the environment. So just be careful where you like, you know, set the thing on fire and let it float. But
for sure. And you're the first person who ever said to write a letter and kind of like set it off in a stream. Have you ever done that yourself as well? Or
I actually have. I'm very like, because with past loved ones, that's what I like to do. It's just like, you know, write them a letter and just set it off into nature.
I feel you. Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm kind of like the person where if something did happen to me, I would want like kind of my remains to be spread out into nature and just kind of like in the ocean, in the forest, and you know, wherever, just so I could feel like I'm really grounded with the earth. But the writing letter thing, I don't know are you a big writer at all, or?
I don't write too much, but I love, like, if it's like my friend's birthday or like something like that, I don't like sending like long text. I'd rather write it in a letter, just because I feel like I'm sentimental in that way. Like, I really appreciate a good letter. So yeah.
No, I feel you. I mean, writing for me is very expressive, you know?
Yeah.
It really, like, whatever thoughts or emotions, it feels better writing it on paper than anything else sometimes. For sure. And my last question for the warm-up for you is, on a scale from 1 to 10, how well do you know yourself?
Probably a 11.
Word.
Honestly,
Okay.
yeah, I know myself. Yeah.
How'd you come to 11?
Honestly, this pandemic, because I love spending time by myself. Like, I go to the beach all the time by myself. I just love being in my thoughts because I like reflecting on myself, and I want to, you know, get better every day as a person, and think of like, I'm also very self-aware now of the things I do. I'm like, oh, why did I do that? Oh, it's probably because I felt this way in this moment or something like that. So I would like to reflect on that type of stuff. So,
for sure.
Yeah.
Would you consider yourself an overthinker? I only ask because I feel like I label myself that way.
Yeah. I am definitely an overthinker, but I think I've turned, you know how like sometimes overthinking can turn into a bad thing. I think I've really turned it into like something I could use my overthinking as something that's useful, I guess.
No, I feel you. Because my next question was going to be if you felt like that was more of a gift or more of a curse. Yeah. Would you say it's 50-50 pretty much? Or?
Yeah, I would say it's 50-50 because it could spark a lot of ideas, but it could also, you know, stop you from doing a lot if you know, think too much about it.
No doubt. What would you say is your favorite thing about your personality?
My favorite thing about my personality is if someone's passionate about something, then I'll most likely be passionate about it just because they're passionate about it. Like I always, whenever someone's like, I guess, like telling me something that they love, or like seeing that like spark in someone's eyes, I always like love seeing that, and I like to reciprocate that same energy to them, because, you know, I feel like it kind of sucks when you're saying something you're passionate about and you don't get the same energy back from whoever you're speaking to. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I definitely know what you mean.
Yeah.
Do you think that's something that you've always kind of had, like, since you were like, were you born with kind of that passion, or was that something you kind of grew into or developed as you got older?
I would like to think that I was always like that, but I was never really aware of it until, you know, like the most recent years, I would say, because what's this called? Yeah, I would say that I just never really recognized it, but until I recognized it.
Yeah, until recently. Yeah.
Until recently.
And I mean, you know, sometimes somebody could bring it up to you, and then you're like, oh shit, that's how I am, or
Yeah.
And, it could be outside people who recognize it and help you realize it too.
Yeah.
All right, well, we made it to the main portion of the interview. There are 3 levels: an easy, medium, or hard. And where would you like to start?
Let's go medium.
Medium sounds
in the
good.
middle, yeah.
And what is your first number?
Let's go 6.
6. So this one's pretty heavy. Feel free to pass if you feel like it. But this one is, what are you currently struggling with?
Currently struggling with a lot. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. But probably just, you know, figuring out if I still want to do what I want to do in my life. You know, I'm still going to school, obviously, but I'm kind of stuck in between thinking, do I really want to do this my whole life? Because I'm into a lot of things, and I'm like, okay, how do I fit everything together? So it's a process, but I think that's like one of the biggest thing I've been focusing on. So,
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Do you mind me asking, what is it you feel like you really want to do?
Something in like entertainment, I would say, because I don't know. I feel like it sounds kind of like egotistical, but I feel like I'd be a good entertainer. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, I think go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, like I don't know. The one teacher that I had always told me like he would say my full name. He was like, "That sounds like you'd be a celebrity," and I was like, "Maybe I will be a celebrity one day." But yeah.
No, I feel you. I mean, that's the thing. Like wanting to be an entertainer, you kind of have to be a little bit egotistical. I mean, that's how I feel about myself, because there's that belief that you have, but also that doubt that it's like, I don't know, I'm not sure, but damn, it really feels like I should be doing this. I should. Yeah. Let me ask you about your podcast. How long have you been doing that for?
Well, my personal podcast, I've just started the beginning of this year, so January 1st, I guess you could say. But I'm on this other podcast. I'm pretty sure you know Mike. I watched your guys' like little episode on his channel, but so I was part of that podcast, and I thought to myself, I was like, there's a lot of things that I also want to speak about, but I feel like what I want to speak on all of it can't really be put on the collective podcast, just because there's like limited amount of time, and there's like 4 of us, so I don't want to like hog the show. So yeah, for
sure. Where do you see that podcast taking you?
To be honest, I don't really have a goal with that. Like, I don't really care about how many followers I get or like the outreach, just as long as I can at least reach one person, because I've just started, and some people already like message me about their like life stories and their problems, and it just feels so nice, because it's like, wow, thank you for trusting me with this information. And it's like they feel heard, while I also feel like they hear me,
Yeah. I've been getting the same kind of feeling, doing this process as my own podcast. It is a trip sometimes. Sometimes I'm just like, oh snap, I had no idea they were gonna open up about that. And it's so intimate, and it's such a personal story sometimes, where I feel guilty, because they're coming on to a show where they open up, and I feel bad that I can't really be there for them all the time.
Yeah.
It's an interesting balance. For what you're struggling with, as far as choosing which path you want to take, is there any kind of plan, or do you have a way of working it out for yourself, where you're trying to figure it out?
I think I'm just gonna finish my schooling and get that done, so at least I have a backup plan if I don't want to like do it anymore. But I always think that it's okay. I feel like there's a small percentage of people who actually do what they love on a daily basis. So I could do something that I like very much. I also love it, but maybe like it's not what I want to do all the time, and also like do little things on the side. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no doubt. How do you feel about that term, backup plan? Because when I listen to people who are doing what they love, they always say, oh, don't give yourself a backup plan. And I'm like, damn, well, I need one.
Yeah, it's funny, because I used to be the person that would say, I don't need a plan B, because that would take away from my plan A. But kind of speaking to people I look up to, and my parents and stuff, looking at my parents' journey, they went to school and they did everything, but they didn't end up in the spot that they were originally planning. But they had like a backup. They had that sense of like security, I guess, if something didn't work out. So I always think of it as like, say it's better safe than sorry. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. Are you close to being done, or you still got a long way to go?
If I want to go to PT school, because I'm a kinesiology major, if I want to do physical therapy, then it's a longer route, but I think I'm down for it. So yeah.
I got you. Go ahead and throw me another number.
Let's do 12.
12. Do you feel like a grown-up?
No. Definitely not.
How would
Definitely
you,
not.
How would you describe a grown-up? Where when you see somebody like, oh, that's a grown-up, and that's not what I am.
My mom. My parents. It's funny because I don't know, like sometimes when I hear people my age like talk about how like, you know, they're an adult and stuff like that. I don't know, just listening, because I listen to a lot of podcasts too, and listen to a lot of like older people speak, and I'm like, dude, I'm 21, like I'm a baby, you know. It's okay that I don't have everything figured out right now, and it's okay that I'm not a full-blown adult yet. You know, I have the privilege to be kind of still young and try things and kind of fail, and you know, I don't have any like huge responsibilities, you know, like I don't have a kid, or I don't have, you know, any of that, so I still feel like I'm a kid in that sense. Yeah,
you're still free.
Yeah.
Would you, I'm always curious when I talk to the younger folks, but how do you feel about the future? Like, you know, what's your kind of perception and mindset of where things are kind of going in society right now?
That's a tough one, because I feel like looking into too much of what's going on right now is kind of a downer in some ways, and in some ways it's things are getting better, but I really don't know what's in store for the future as a society, but I know kind of where I want my life to be, and I know kind of what I don't know, how do I put this in words? Kind of what type of life I guess I would be living in the future. You know, I might not know exactly what I'll be doing, but I know the essence of how I want to feel when I'm older or in the future.
I gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say, like, so one thing I feel like I'm 31, and when I talk to people my age about your generation, I don't know, it's two separate things, but we always talk about how like you guys were kind of raised in that era of having the internet, phones, and social media and whatnot, and how it may have affected you guys in a different sense of how we kind of were raised. And I came at, like, my first computer experience was around 12 years old, right?
Yeah.
So would you say there has been a difference, or can you see differences between our generations as far as like, you know, oh, the millennials act like that because, you know, they are different.
Yeah.
So yeah, how would you kind of describe that gap?
There is definitely a difference, and you know, I think I'm part of Gen Z, right? So what's this called? It definitely, I feel like the internet is a good thing and a bad thing. Obviously everything has its good and bad in them, but I think in terms of affecting us how we grew up, I think it's okay, speaking, because I have a younger sister, and I'm just like thinking of us two and how I didn't have an iPhone till I was like in 11th grade, and I feel like I was just like the start of when everything was also like coming, like all like this new stuff was coming. But I think that compared to it, like I feel like we're very reliant on what the internet gives us, and compared to you guys. But yeah, I don't know what else to say, sorry.
No, you're fine. Don't worry. There's no wrong answer. There's no right answer. Yeah, I'm just curious because you know, I don't get to have these conversations often with you know, different age ranges, and you know, just picking the brain of someone who lived a different life in a different era.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you kind of see from, I guess, from the past that you wish you kind of grew up with, versus, you know, if there's anything, or yeah.
In terms of like the internet, or just like in general?
Just in general, like maybe something from a certain era. You know, you know, millennials, we love the 90s, and we talk about how great it was all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if there's anything from it doesn't have to be the 90s, it could be from any era where you're like, oh, I like that fashion, that style, and I wish that was kind of around when I was growing up.
Definitely, I love like the 80s, I would say. Like a lot of the shows that I watch, like for example, one of my favorite shows is Stranger Things. And you know, a lot of 80s stuff. Like I have like a cassette player, and I'm very like analog. I like film cameras and all that stuff. So I would say if I lived in the 80s, it probably would have been a good time for me.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Yeah.
All right, I'm about to throw you a curveball right now, and it's a fill in the blank. So politics are blank.
Politics are... The first thing that popped up in my mind was not for everyone.
For sure. Has it been for you, or it hasn't been for you?
I think most recently I've been paying more attention to politics and how it'll affect my life and the people around me in that sense. And I feel like, you know, with media coverage, it's everywhere. So we see it all the time. It's kind of hard to ignore, and especially a lot of the, you know, injustices. So.
Yeah. I'm just curious, have you voted before or not yet?
This was the last election was my first time voting. So
did it feel like a particularly big moment in your life, or was that just like a, you know, I need to do this because, you know, it makes a difference?
I would say that I think it was, I would have felt kind of shitty if I didn't vote, because I think I was able to, I don't know if I was able to vote last time. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know my years.
I got you.
But yeah, I just felt like if I don't do this, then I wouldn't feel good about myself if I didn't vote. So.
Did you just do the like the big one, or even the small local ones? You know what I mean? Sometimes there's this.
Oh, like the prop ones, or
yeah, like prop ones and like the city ones, and yeah. Do you feel connected to your community in that way? For me personally, I always have a hard time doing the community stuff because I don't know. I'm not sure who this person is and what they represent, and you know, there's a lot of, like, I guess, research and a lot of following I gotta do to really feel comfortable with my vote. So for you, did you feel connected enough to feel like, you know, you knew that person representing you?
Well, the mayor of Milpitas is, I think, Richard Tran. I think that's his name. I'm not sure. I don't remember. But he was he grew up here, and he went to Milpitas High. So there was that sense of like he knows what, you know, we experience, or it was like very similar. But other than that, I don't feel like I knew enough to particularly like vote effectively, I guess. In my community sense, but because I don't pay I guess I pay taxes, but I don't know everything, you know. I don't know like what it's all about, so I can't really say much, or I can't really, like, you know.
No. Yeah. And honestly, when I was your age, I did not care at all. So it's good that you're just taking steps, you know.
Yeah.
And I feel like as you get older, it definitely becomes more relevant in your life, and you start wondering, like, damn, where are the taxes going? And I'm out here in San Francisco, and we have this thing called the discretionary fund, and that just means like, oh, it's whatever we choose to use the money for. And I'm like, well, that doesn't help me out. Or like, you have all that money, and you just say, oh yeah, we're gonna use it wherever it's needed, and like, so, and I don't know if you know, but there's a lot of like there's a lot of things about at least San Francisco and its city government, and a lot of underlying things that have affected how they use their money. That's something, if you ever want to like see about really like crazy stories about it, that's something to look into.
That's interesting. I'm not surprised, you know. But yeah. I mean, San Francisco really relies on its reputation sometimes, you know, to bring people in, and then when you get here, it's like, oh, it's not really what everybody thought. So funny, because my English teacher, in a class I had like a while back, she's from here, but she talked about how she like really wanted to go to San Francisco and all that. Am I frozen? Okay, no. I go to San Francisco and all of that, but then when she went there, it was not what she expected, and she didn't like it at all. So
yeah. I mean, it's I can't say it's for everybody. It's changed a lot since I was a kid growing up here, and now I still love it. I love my city. It's just that, you know, when you get older, you change, and that, you know, cities aren't like they're not, what am I trying to say? They're not excused from that. Wrong word, but yeah. Go ahead and throw me another question or another number.
Let's do 2.
Same, middle, or go up or down as far as difficulty level?
Let's go down.
Let's go down.
Why not?
All right. Yeah. What would you say is your natural talent?
I can dance.
Really?
I guess that's a natural talent. Yeah. Yeah.
How long you been dancing for? Since?
Well, like dance classes since I was probably 10. But when I was in high school, I was on a competition team. So I competed in urban choreography competitions. But right now I don't really dance anymore, just because I haven't allotted the time to dancing. So yeah.
Was dancing something where like you discovered it yourself, or was it something where people kind of like put you on? I know when parents with their kids are always like, oh, I want you to sing in front of my friends, or I want you to dance in front of my friends. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Was that a similar way you kind of fell into it?
So when I was younger, I loved like just like dancing to music, and you know, like as a Filipino, they're like, okay, like do the ocho ocho, do all this, do the spaghetti ba 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 or whatever, and then I was just like, I had like naturally like this natural groove. So my parents were like, when I moved here to the US, my parents were like, oh, let's put her into dancing, maybe she'll like it, and I ended up liking it. So yeah.
So is it just more of a like contemporary dancing, or did you take any like, you know, super special ballroom classes? And
no, I did not take any like ballroom classes, but I actually, you know how people usually start with like ballet and stuff. I actually started with hip hop, and then my grandma wanted me to do ballet, so I did ballet for a year, but I hated it. So then I went back to hip hop. So yeah.
Yeah, ballet. I mean, I think ballet is super hard, just from like the movies. I've never tried it myself, and all Filipinos can't dance. I'm one of those Filipinos. So, you know, if you have it, use it. But for sure, go ahead and throw me another number.
Let's go 5.
5. What artist, song, or album has inspired you?
Inspired me? Well, I guess the artist that I feel like, ooh, this is a hard question, even though it's on the easy side.
My bad.
No, you're good. But ooh, I guess Kehlani. I love Kehlani. She every time she drops an album, it always like resonates with me, like from when I was like younger. But yeah, probably like Kehlani, and most recently Olivia Rodrigo. She's hella dope. You know Olivia Rodrigo?
Oh damn! Now I'm showing my age, but I don't.
Really?
Yeah. What's a song I could check out from her?
Well, Good For You. It's been #1 on like Billboard 200 for like the past 2 weeks or something. She's half Filipino. She's 17.
Was she from that show, and then she made it on her own on High School Musical on Disney Plus?
That one.
Yes, now I know who you're talking about. I remember overhearing TFC or the Filipino challenge talking about her, and I'm like, who is this? And then I had to look it up. But yeah, Olivia Rodrigo. Shout out to her. But I know she's representing. So like she came out of nowhere, right? Or was she already kind of known as a kid? And
she was actually on Disney Channel when she was younger. On this, I think my sister said this show called Bizarre, something like that. But yeah, but yeah, I guess. But in terms of music wise, this was like, it was really that. I think TikTok was the one that really popped her off with her first single called Driver's License. But
so yes, Driver's License was the one that I heard broke hella records on Spotify, and I had to check it out. I mean, it did sound dope. And does she already have albums out, or was it just those singles right now?
Yeah, her first album came out last Friday or something like that, but it's all I've been listening to for the past, since it came out. So
certified classic for you? Is a album. For sure. What would you say about those artists, Olivia Rodrigo or Kehlani, that you feel connected with? Because I know for me, there's some artists out there where I'm like, man, if we just knew each other, we'd be best friends. But yeah. So what would you say about them?
I would say the vulnerability in their music. I guess you could say that for like any artist, because obviously they have to put themselves out there. But I don't know, I just feel it. If I always say, like, if I were to like write a song, it would be that, like, for that exact feeling, it would be that. And it's always like, for example, Kehlani, it's always something I could go back to and listen from start to finish, one of her albums. And I feel like a lot of newer artists, you can't really do that anymore, listen from start to finish from an album.
Yeah. I always catch myself. For me, if it's 10 songs, it has to be like 7 out of 10 for me to really feel like, oh, I'm a fan of this artist, or I'm really about him. What other certified classics are there for you? Like, besides
certified?
Like an album that you're just like, front and back, you listen to the whole thing.
The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill.
Oh, yeah. Now you're speaking the 90s language out right now.
It's like from when I was younger, I grew up on listening to old school R&B because my parents, and it wasn't until junior year of high school when I started to listen to like newer artists, because all I played was old school R&B because that's all I knew. And I would go to school in 6th grade listening to Usher on my iPod, or listening to fucking Busta Rhymes while I'm walking to class. Like, but yeah. No doubt.
Yeah. Damn. I had another question, but it's kind of fleeting. I do want to ask, what have you been to any, like, what's the best concert you ever been to?
I actually don't really go to concerts, so I can't really say. I mean, I went to like a festival called Rolling Loud. Pretty sure you know about it. But I only went one day because the other day I got sick. I got like, I don't know what it was. I got like the flu or something, but I was so sick, so I couldn't go. But that was like the first, I guess, real like festival that I went to. But I haven't really gone to any, so I can't really say.
Is there any artist's like performance that you've seen that kind of like stuck out and you were like, or that was an experience, you know what I mean?
I wasn't there personally, but I watched Travis Scott's documentary, and I just had goosebumps throughout the whole show, and watching him perform and stuff. It looks like a vibe. But yeah.
I feel you. I mean, you got plenty of time to check out some more out there. And I was gonna ask, have you seen or heard of the podcast called Dissect?
Yes, on Spotify.
Yeah. You heard the Lauryn Hill one?
Yeah, I think I don't remember because it was such a long time ago, but I remember seeing it. Yeah, I
mean, the guy goes through the whole miseducation of Lauryn Hill, and I mean, I don't know everything about Lauryn Hill, so it's really eye-opening and just like, damn, she was going through all that. But now that podcast is pretty beast. Not gonna lie. Go ahead and throw me another number.
22.
22. What was the greatest gift you've ever received?
Greatest gift, life.
I mean, yeah.
The gift of life. I mean, I'm here. But the greatest gift I've ever received. Well, top of my mind that I'm thinking right now is just when I was in the Philippines, when I visited my grandma, she got me these like bracelets, and I never told her that I loved like bracelets and jewelry or anything like that, but she always just saw me with like bracelets and like all that, like anklets and stuff, and she was like, oh, she likes that stuff, so I'm gonna get her some. And I don't know, it's just it made me feel like she was very attentive, is that the word? To me. And I'm like, wow, like I don't have to tell you what I like, you notice. So yeah.
Very thoughtful gift. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, nothing against the folks out there who never know what to get me as a gift. But yeah, whenever someone like kind of gives you something that like, oh shit, they know my personality or they know my style or flavor, it's like, yeah, I definitely appreciate it. And on the flip side of that is there any gift that you felt like you've given that's been like the best just because you put so much thought into it?
Yeah, I think honestly, I think I'm a really good gift giver. But most recently it was my best friend's birthday, and she had recently moved, her family moved to Folsom. So they sold the house that she grew up in, and she doesn't have, I collect like vinyls and like I have a record player. So I was like, maybe I should get her a record player and she could start collecting, since, you know, it's right now I feel like it's popping off. But I didn't want to get her just any like record player. I wanted to get her one that was turquoise, because turquoise is the color of her room that she grew up in. So I wanted to give her a piece of home to have in Folsom where she lives. So
I gotcha. Yeah.
I made her cry, so I think it was pretty good. So yeah.
What's the first vinyl you might gift her in the future?
I don't know. I was trying to, cause I kind of wanted to give her like a classic like vinyl that everyone should have, but I don't know. Maybe Queen, probably.
Okay.
I'll get her a Queen vinyl.
For sure. You know, I just found out, like, I guess there's artists, if I was somebody who made music, I can get vinyls done now. It's like the business coming back, and
yeah,
I don't know, do you feel like you enjoy vinyls more than an MP3?
I would say convenience wise, definitely like Spotify is my go-to, but I feel like what I love about collecting vinyls is that I know exactly when and where I got each one of them. And I also collect like cassettes and DVDs, but all my DVDs are from my dad. And just hearing, when we were like kind of going through them, he was just saying like, oh, I got this from this person on whatever day. And I was like, there's something special about having that like that sentiment. And yeah, that's why I really love collecting it, and listening to it on vinyl too is just a different experience. So
yeah, I mean, a lot of memories come from like purchasing stuff, and you know, I felt really old saying MP3 because I just realized no one uses MP3s anymore, so I'll stream it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely get that feeling, because it's so easy to like purchase stuff online and, you know, do it from our screens, that the whole act of like, yo, I'm gonna drive to the record store, or I'm gonna go to the flea market and, you know, have this whole physical kind of thing about it. Yeah, you think that's a wave that can come back? Like, I know malls are dying, but you think malls can come back because people are gonna miss, you know, actually going outside?
If we're talking about malls, I'm not sure about malls.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because I personally don't like, I get exhausted when I go to the mall and I have to buy something. But yeah, I don't know. Because I know, like, before, like, you know, I guess you could say, like, 80s or whatever, the mall was the spot where everyone would meet, you know?
Yeah, in the 80s.
So, yeah. But, yeah, I don't think it'll ever be like that again. But you never know, you know? Stuff dies and comes back, so.
Yeah, I mean, well, R.I.P. malls, but,
yeah.
Because that's something I'm just been curious about, is like how are they gonna survive? And you know, I feel like my generation is probably gonna be the last people who really enjoy going to the mall. I don't necessarily myself, but I mean, for me, it's like, damn, I really want to try something on before I buy it when it comes to that kind of shopping. But, yeah, well, we'll see where that goes.
Yeah.
Just a heads up, we have about 10-15 minutes left in the podcast.
Okay. Wow, this went by fast.
Awesome. Well, that's glad. I'm glad you know, went by fast for you. Want to thank you again, and I hope you're having fun. It's been a great conversation for me. Cool. And I have another curveball for you. This is a shout out question. You don't necessarily have to name anybody. You could just, you know, give me a general vague answer for this. But mine is, did you ever have a favorite teacher, coach, or mentor?
Yes. I would say so.
Are you comfortable?
Go ahead.
I was going to say, are you comfortable like shouting them out and being like...
Yeah. Yeah, shout out to Coach Bernie, because I feel like he's, when I was doing track, he was the one that really pushed me to be better. And he's the reason why I was so successful in track. And I still talk to him to this day, so it's a good thing.
Any advice that he kind of gave you that sticks out in your head as far as like, you know, through training or competing?
I wouldn't say like advice, but like just like the certain action, because I feel like compared to a lot of other coach, he was very attentive to us, and he loved what he did, so it really reflected on how much he cared about us as athletes and as people. And it really, when I was in track, it just felt like a family. And Coach Ronald too, shout out to you. Can never forget about you. But yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Coach Bernie and Coach Ronald, shout out to you. Shout out to y'all. And yeah, so I'm actually about to jump back into youth work in a couple of weeks or so. What would you say is important for someone who's going to be working with the youth to have in mind? Like, you know, some people can be nervous about working with kids because they never know what's going to happen. But like, I feel like you're still close to that experience to know what is something that, you know, a person should kind of like bring, or what kind of attitude.
I think to just listen. I feel like kids need that, for someone to actually listen and hear them, and not feel like they're not welcome in a space. So yeah. Okay.
Well, I'll keep that in mind. Hopefully I'll keep my mouth shut more often than not and just hear them out. All right, well, go ahead and throw me another number. You still want to stay easy, or?
Let's go hard now.
All right.
Let's go to the hard questions.
Awesome. You go ahead and throw me another number.
Let's go 8.
8. Are you using your time wisely?
This past week, no. I'm not using my time wisely, because I just actually finished this semester, and this whole week I have been sleeping late and not necessarily waking up too late, but all I've been doing is really just like watching Friends and, you know, just not doing really anything productive. So, but yeah, I just give myself that week, and this week we'll start doing stuff. So,
I feel you.
But yeah.
Yeah, you got to have that balance.
Yeah.
Congrats on finishing your semester.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Friends, you seen the reunion yet?
Yes. It was actually so, like, it was kind of cute. Like, it was, I don't know, it made me like feel emotional. I feel like I was attached.
No. I mean, because it's a trip. Like, they talked about how like it was one of the first shows that kind of made you feel like, you know, they were your friends too, and you're kind of watching how they were going through, which is interesting. Like for me, I loved Friends growing up, and then now that I'm older, I hear like there's a lot of hate on them sometimes about, you know, being
their jokes.
Well, yeah, yeah, how they're not that funny, but I think they're funny. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something about it was like entertaining, but I guess the bar for entertainment is a little higher now, and it's like those jokes don't fly as easily.
Yeah, those jokes definitely don't fly anymore. But yeah.
What other shows would you say you enjoy like Friends?
What other shows have I been into? Well, that's like Friends?
Or just like, you know, I guess the same entertainment value for you. Like you just enjoy them as much as you do Friends.
Probably like Stranger Things is another one. I really love shows and movies that have friendship dynamics. A really strong friendship dynamic. So those are the only two I could think on the top of my head. But Game of Thrones, I like Game of Thrones too. I recently started rewatching that too.
Word.
Except for the last season. I'm just kidding.
I mean, I've never seen it, and people were telling me like, oh, the last season's not even like, they felt like they wasted time, you know, getting to that point, and where it's like, oh damn. Well, you know, I think I'll also check it out. It was huge in our culture. You know, everybody's watching Game of Thrones. Yeah,
it's crazy.
You heard of Trece? That new Netflix show about Filipino folklore.
And wait, is it like an anime?
Yeah.
Is it the anime one? Yeah, I've seen like posts about it, but I haven't really like looked into it. But that's interesting because is it about like Filipino like mythology and stuff?
From what I know, it's like a detective where like there is Filipino folklore like coming back, or like they're showing themselves, and she's trying to figure out why they're making themselves known now, or something like that. But I'm just super hyped that it's like Filipino folklore. Just
yeah, I'm heavy into that stuff. So.
I feel you. Are you superstitious at all?
Yes, very. Extreme.
Have you had any superstitious stuff or like supernatural things? Have you experienced any supernatural things?
Yeah, when I was in the Philippines, it was 2016 Christmas time, and that same year is when my aunt died. And I usually sleep in the same room as my grandma. Like I enjoy sleeping next to her. And outside her window is like kind of like the garage area, but her window is a little higher than walking level. Like if you were to walk, your head would be like at like the bottom of the window. So it was like late at night, and all of a sudden I see this bright white light just like coming closer, and I was like, what is that? And I was like, who's outside? Like, is it the car? And then I saw that the car wasn't there, and the white light just kept moving, and I was like, oh, it's no one. That's impossible. It can't be anyone. So it was just a white light, and before it could reach like there, because it's a window and then the wall and then another window, before it could reach the other window, I just like went under the
He's like, I don't want to see this.
I was like, what if it wasn't like, because in the morning I told my grandma, and then I told my mom, and everyone found out, and then everyone was talking. They were like, oh, that was your aunt. That was Auntie Jane. And they were like, you should have talked to her. And I was like, what if it wasn't her? You know what I'm saying? But
yeah. I mean, I don't know what it is about Filipinos, but we are all about that supernatural stuff. Yeah, any little thing, it's like, oh yeah, that was somebody reaching out, or that was someone talking to you. I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, I've been called a light spirit because I feel I'm like super open to those things as well. And I don't know if you ever done a Ouija board, but that's something that I've done, and everyone's always freaked. Yeah, everyone has your reaction. Like, I can't talk to you no more. But it's I had a conversation with a medium or a psychic like a few years after that, and she was telling me like, yo, yeah, I like you went over to the dark side one time, and I'm like, oh yeah, you know, I did this Ouija board and stuff, and then she's like, don't ever do that again. And we had this conversation about my ancestors kind of like watching me cross the line between, you know, the good and then the dark side. And yeah, I was like, holy shit. And I felt pretty bad afterwards, because I was like, you know, doing it, I was just curious. And
Yeah.
that's another story for a different conversation. But
Yeah.
it really wrapped my mind around it. I will say, one interesting thing about the Ouija board is if you're on it and when you do it properly, it will move in an infinity sign by itself, with, you know, with your fingers on it. But yeah, it's like, that's like their call waiting, or like, you know, they're waiting for a question. But yeah, I just want to throw that out there, because I thought it was yeah.
Wild.
All right, well, we made it to the concluding portion of the podcast. I only have a few closeout questions for you. This next one is from a guest, my previous guest. Shout out to Pauline for your question. Her question for you is, where do you see yourself in 10 years?
This question. In 10 years, I'm gonna be 31. That seems still young for me. So hopefully I'm done with school in 10 years, but I'm pretty sure I will be. I don't want to say, I can't really say like where I see myself, but I can say how I want to be feeling. I want to feel like I'm moving in the right path, that I'm not taking anything for granted, that I'm still living my life in a way where I can still positively impact people and still live a healthy life for myself. So
for sure. Yeah, I mean, you're already kind of starting off with your entertainment path a little bit. You know, I know you got a lot of paths in front of you, but yeah, I think you're a lot farther than I was at that age. I mean, I just started this thing this year as well, and I am 31, so I'm a good meter for you to be like, okay, this guy's doing this thing. But yeah, biggest thing for me that I lacked in my 20s was consistency and execution. Being the overthinker that I am, I took a lot of time to think in my 20s. So I would just say beware of getting in that loop of just thinking I want to do it and then not really doing it, and thinking about other things you want to do. Yeah, that's what I got stuck in. But honestly, I don't think I'd be the person I am if I hadn't gone through all that stuff and kind of like, you know, be pursuing this now.
Yeah.
But yeah, would you say you put a lot of pressure on yourself, or are you more of like a go with the flow kind of person?
I would say I put a lot of pressure to myself.
Yeah,
on myself. But yeah,
I would say yeah, that's another thing to just be aware of. You shouldn't, honestly. And I know we're very self-critical, especially like I think everyone's self-critical mostly to themselves too. Like, you know, you'll give slack to other people and be like, oh, it's gonna be okay, or don't worry, you're gonna make it. But then for yourself, it's all like, why aren't you know, doing more? Why aren't you like, yeah? So
yeah,
don't get caught up in that headspace either.
Yeah.
For sure. And my next question for you is, what would you like to ask the next guest that comes on to 34 questions?
When was the last time you felt pure happiness, and why did you feel that way? Or what made you feel that way?
For sure. I like it. You went heavy. I'm always curious about like how the next person's going to answer this, because this could be kind of this could be a tearjerker.
Yeah, it could be.
For sure. And then my final question for you, the one that wraps all this together, is, what would you like your descendants to know about you? 500 years from now, they're watching this video. What would you tell them?
I would tell them to don't be afraid to be yourself, and to enjoy life. That's a little vague, but to truly though, to really take in this blessing of a life that you have and enjoy it. Don't live your life filled with regrets. So
for sure. Any last things you want to add before we head out of here?
Thanks for having me. This was a very fun experience. I had a really good talk with you, and hopefully this is not the last time we talk. But yeah, maybe you could be on our podcast. So yeah.
Absolutely. I'm all about it. I want to thank you again for coming on as well. Yeah, I mean, for the folks out there who don't know, first time we met, and definitely appreciate a good conversation. So want to thank all the folks out there for also checking it out, watching on YouTube or listening to the streams, not the MP3s, but the streams. And yeah, we will remember to reach out, reach forward. As always, much love, and we'll catch you next time on 34 Questions.